Hello everybody, welcome back to my kitchen. I'm Jeanette and you're visiting the Neil's Homestead. I've been working on videos that have to do with preparing for Thanksgiving, working on a menu, and all the things that it makes to have a Thanksgiving gathering at your house. The original Thanksgiving had to do with provisions that were given to the Pilgrims and the Indians by God, and those provisions, for the most part, were centered around food at that time. So that seems apropos for me to use food that we grew on our own homestead. Really early last spring, we planted a pretty large patch of spinach in our greenhouse number 4. And then in May, I harvested a whole bunch of spinach and got it into the freezer. So today, the food that I'm thankful that God gave me is spinach. And that's what I'm going to make for Thanksgiving dinner. The recipe I'm using is called 2 cheese spinach bake. I've taken 4 packages of spinach out of my freezer to thaw. The amount of spinach that I need for my recipe is 20 ounces. So I weighed this out and that's basically, I'm 3/10 of an ounce short on this amount, but I'm going to go with that and call it 20 ounces. And then I'm going to need 4 eggs, 2 cups of milk, half a cup of butter that's melted, an onion, Parmesan cheese, garlic, salt, cayenne pepper, and 4 cups of shredded cheese. I'll put the ingredients for the recipe down in the description. The first thing I'm going to have to do is get this spinach thawed out, and then I will need to squeeze out any kind of moisture that's in there. While the spinach is thawing, I will go ahead and get the cheese grated up. Now, you can use whatever kind of cheese you want. What I'm going to use is extra sharp cheddar. I'm going to use the whole package of that. And then I have some cheese here that's called mozzarella American cheese. It's white and pretty mild. It doesn't have a lot of strong flavor to it. And then whatever I need more, I'm going to add in some Swiss cheese. For the most part, I just like to use hand-operated tools for my stuff in my kitchen because I feel like it's quicker and easier in the long run. But I'm glad I have this food processor for times like this when I have a little bit more to grate up and it takes a little bit longer. So I'm just going to get this run through real quick. Now what I need is 4 cups. Shredded cheese is one of those things, like how far down do you push it to get to your measurement? So it looks like I have a little bit left over, but that looks like about 4 cups worth. As well as the spinach that was produced on our property, we also have elephant garlic that we grew ourselves, onions that we grew ourselves, and then eggs. I've got 2 duck eggs and 2 chicken eggs that I'll be using in the recipe today. And I have to chop up these ingredients to add to it. Of course, I'm not going to chop up the eggs, but I'm going to put them in a bowl and slightly mix them. This recipe is really very, very simple because for the most part, you just mix everything together all at one time. I've already got my 2 cups of flour measured out, and to that I need to add my 4 eggs, and then I need 2 cups of milk. And what I did was to take 1 can of evaporated milk and then add enough water to it to make 2 cups. Then I need my half a cup of melted butter. At this point I'll put in my onion and my elephant garlic. I need 1/4 cup of Parmesan cheese, and I bought this Parmesan cheese that has garlic in it a while back, so I decided that'd probably be pretty good in here. So I'm going to measure out 1/4 cup of Parmesan cheese, a teaspoon of salt, about like that, and then it calls for 1/4 teaspoon of cayenne pepper, but I'm actually going to add a little more because that wouldn't add very much heat to it, and I think it could add some pretty good flavor. So I'm probably going to add at least half a teaspoon. Now I need to whisk that up pretty good till everything's mixed well. Make sure there's no flour on the bottom of the bowl still. I think that seems pretty good. And then I have my spinach. Look at that pretty green that I drained out. I'm not going to throw that away because I think there's probably quite a bit of food in there. Food value. And then I'm just going to take my shears and cut my spinach up some because I just froze whole leaves. And I sure don't want anything stringy to come out. And I'd like to have it chopped up pretty good. And I'll dump that in there too and fold as best I can. Try to get that spinach moved around in there throughout, not all in one area. Might have to switch to something besides my whisk. Okay, I think this silicone spatula will do this job better. I'm really looking forward to this. This kind of stuff's right down my alley. See, I got a big blob of spinach right there. I've got to try to get separated and spread out. Okay, I think that looks pretty good. Let me get cleaned up a little bit. I have my oven heating to 350 degrees. The dish that I choose to put it in is pretty big. It's actually a 4-quart, and all I really need is a 3-quart, but I like the idea that it's going to spread around and be fairly thin and have a lot of surface area to go ahead and brown the cheese. I think that might make it better than having a deeper dish and smaller around. That looks really cheesy and really spinachy. I think this is going to be great. Great addition to Thanksgiving dinner. I'll get this in the oven and bake it for 40 to 50 minutes. And the way you tell on this whether it's done is if you stick a knife into it in the center. If it comes out clean, it's done. If it comes out with a milky substance on it, then it's not done yet. This actually resembles quiche in a very large way, but it doesn't have a crust like quiche does. It just is crustless. Well, the timer's gone off, and so I'm looking. I think it looks really good, but I'm looking at the interior of it and I'm not sure it's done. Let me stick a knife in there. I'm gonna pull it a little closer to the edge. Oh, that feels done. And it came out clean. I mean, it's not totally clean, but there's no milky, uncooked area in it. So let me get it out. That smells wonderful, and it looks wonderful. I'm gonna let it cool a little bit and then steal a little taste off of the edge of it. Now you're supposed to serve this warm out of the oven. I've let it cool a little bit, but I'm gonna cut the end of it off here, and we're gonna add it to our lunch. Just so we can taste it. I can get that out of there with yay me. Okay, I'm going to cut it in half. And I'm going to give that a taste. That's very good. It passes my inspection. Now what I'm going to do is cover this with some plastic wrap and stick it in my freezer. It's only going to be there a couple, 3 days, and then I'm going to take it out on Thanksgiving morning, when just in time to warm it up well, and put it in the oven. And I think I might take a little bit of cheese and sprinkle over the top, and maybe even put it under the broiler for just a little bit to crust it up right on top. I think that's going to be a great addition to our Thanksgiving. Thanks for joining me. See you next time.